Let's start with one of British boxing's most popular and most successful fighters. Just 2 defeats in 47 fights and packed houses all over the world. He attracted 57,000 one night in Manchester to the City of Manchester Stadium, home of his beloved Manchester City. He had 5 fights in Las Vegas, and it is calculated that as many as 80,000 men and women travelled from Britain and Ireland to watch him fight. He was a world champion for 8 years. He sold out the MEN in his beloved hometown of Manchester over 10 times. Now he's a promoter, a real promoter, a busy one. Now, I called up with Ricky Hatton a few hours ago, just after he'd been at an event inside a hospice. He seems to do charitable things at least once a day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. I started by asking him how he is coping with being a promoter, because he sounds busier than when he was actually fighting.
Yeah, certainly a lot busier now than when I was fighting. The only difference is it's a little less painful, but still stress along the way, we're getting the shows and matching all the lads together. But, I mean, we just had Denton Vassell defended his Commonwealth welterweight title last week against a good unbeaten Ghanaian opponent. And we've got the Amir Khan show coming up in a few weeks. Now we're trying to put a massive undercard through together. And we just recently got Ryan Rhodes a world title shot against the lad that beat my brother Matthew, for the world title against Saul Alvarez. That's going to be the 18th of June in Guadalajara, Mexico. So I've not done bad. I mean, it's only started the season, Steve, and I've already got 2 world title shots for me lads. So it's a well and truly a full-time job, yeah. And you're
getting fighters. I mean, the Crawler, Craig Watson. I know you lost Steve Foster Jr. As I say, you mentioned Denton Vassell. I mean, you're constantly pushing these guys. These guys in fights. I mean, it's you're not holding back. You're not just looking at one fighter and riding the wave with him. You've got it open on every front. It seems to me, Ricky.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I like to think I got my fan base and a lot of credit through fighting the best and not really shying away from everyone. But, sometimes these fights come up and you go straight to your opponents. Like Crawler when he got the chance to move up a weight to fight Watson. I said, this chance has come along. Do you want to take it? And they don't even have to hesitate to take it. Likewise, Craig Watson in London and the Lions Den again against O'Donnell.
Yeah, it was
he
hard.
Took it, and so he's going to get his rewards fighting Purdy on the Khan McCloskey bill. Martin Murray, in fact, we tried to make the Martin Murray-Matthew Macklin fight, and Macklin unfortunately turned that down, so that's a fight maybe I can get further down the line. Gary Buckland, he went in the prize fighter as a bit of a
outsider.
Knocks out the champion.
Gary Sykes.
So, talk about all these fighters seem to be a chip off the old Hatton block. They're all doing me very, very proud.
And it seems to me, Rick, that the busier you are, the happier you are, in the sense that you're constantly involved. You've got no time. This is 24/7, this game.
It is, yeah. Your phone's got to be on the go 24 hours a day. If an opportunity comes along, you want to be there for your fighters, and because I've got to be doing it full time now, because what I'm dealing with, Steve. I'm dealing with the well-being of young men. It's their livelihood. It's their, so you've got to be 100% behind them. You can't cut no corners, because you're not letting yourself down. You're letting other people down, and that just it won't happen as far as I'm concerned.
Now, you talked about started in September, and you got 2 world title fights. Obviously, one was for your brother, another one's coming up for Ryan. What was it like being ringside in Los Angeles? A big fight. The Mexican Alvarez, unbeaten. They were really pushing him, and it was a role reversal, because Matthew was so often there for you, your chief supporter, your chief cheerleader at ringside. But in Los Angeles, it was different. You were at ringside, shaking and nervous. Just talk me through that week and that fight, Ricky. How difficult was it for you?
Well, it was very, very difficult. I mean, I get more nervous when Matthew fights for obvious reasons than when I do. But I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, I can't take my hat off to make me, not only proud that he's one of my fighters, but I felt proud to call him my brother that night, because he moved up in weight to fight this guy, and you could see from the opening seconds of the fight, the massive weight difference from the first exchange. But he moved up a weight, he moved up into absolute massive world class, he moved up in weight divisions, he went into the Lions Den, 14,000 screaming Mexicans baying for your blood, which is very daunting enough, and he wasn't fazed by it one bit, and he stood there, and at times he had it out with him, and I was squirming him up in my seat in the front row, going, "Oh, get out of the way!" But in typical Hatton style, he stood there and gave as best as he got. And even though it would have been nice for him to walk away, with the world title. In many ways, he was expected to get flattened, and that's the last thing that happened. He gave a really good account of himself, and that's what's going to make the life easier for me as a promoter to try and get him a world title fight at his own weight, which I think I've done in the summer. I think I've got him a world title fight in the summer, which I'm hoping in the next few weeks that we'll be able to announce that. And that will be this year the third world title fight I would have got for me lads in the first 6 months of the year.
Well, that would be sensational if you could do that. And you've got Ryan going out to altitude, about 5,000 feet up, and I know Ryan's confident. June 18th against Alvarez. So you're going to make the journey with Ryan as well, Ricky?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I think, in comparison to Matthew, if no disrespect to Matthew, if Matthew stood next to Ryan, he'd be like David and Goliath.
Absolutely.
So from that point of view, Ryan's got a very, very good chance. He's got a southpaw style, he's got the skills, he's got the ability. A little bit like when John H. Tracy went and beat Jose Napoles. That's what Ryan's up against. He knows he's an underdog, just like Matthew was. But I think Ryan's got the tools. I think he's got, like a fine wine, he's got better with age. He's been performing better as his career's gone on. So, I mean, why can't Ryan do it? We're going to go there. We're not going to make up the numbers like we did with Matthew. We're very confident that Ryan can get a win. But, I mean, needless, it doesn't need me to say, that Ryan knows he's a massive underdog. But it's the chance that Ryan has dreamed of. And a few years ago, a world title fight, he's become a mandatory to get this title fight.
Yeah.
A world title fight, you would have said was a few years ago was, couldn't have been any further away, but now it's going to come true, and it'd be a nice success story if he could pull it off.
Quite one. Now, Rick, one thing you mentioned fighters there: Murray, Watson, Crolla, Vassell, Stevie Foster Jr., your brother Matt Macklin, all guys that are fighting for your shows and on your shows, and you're moving on Ryan Rhodes as well. Now, what about the future? What about going out and finding the top amateurs? Because in the next 6 months or so, Rob McCracken is going to have to cut down his big Olympic team. It's going to shrink from sort of 32 down to about 12. Are you already looking at fighters that are inside the system that are going to be discarded soon?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I still go to a lot of the amateur boxing shows.
I know you do.
I still try to do a lot with the amateurs on Hatton TV. We just did the amateurs on Hatton TV with the combined services, which went over to went over all over the world for all our, all our servicemen, where they can watch it live. So I still like to keep my eye on the amateurs, and obviously the Olympics are still a bit of a while off yet. But I mean, we're actually speaking to a couple of amateurs as we speak. I mean, it's all right, matching these opponents and getting them title fights and stuff like that. But you've not only got to keep an eye on the people that are at the top level, you've got to look at the champions for the future. And I've always got my eye on the amateur game, because I want my stable. I've got a lot of champions. I think at the moment, Steve, I've probably got about 10 or 11 champions from English up to European now. So I've done really, really well. But obviously, you've got to have them that are coming through to follow in their footsteps, and so I have got a keen eye on the amateurs, and hopefully the team can make the move when the guys come available. Because
so many boxers, top boxers, that once they become promoters, I'm thinking Mike Tyson, Nassim Hammond, even Golden Boy, even Oscar De La Hoya for a while, it took them a long time to get going. They managed to get some big names, but they never managed to build that underneath the building blocks, Rick. And you're not going to make that mistake, are you? You're going to build from the bottom up.
Well, no, that's the reason why I went into promoting in the first place, really, is because I wanted to bring a champion through. There is a lot of promoters out there, and even though they are very good promoters, they sometimes get ready-made champions brought to them. I think from my point of view, I always said after being a champion myself and becoming a champion, the next best thing I would like to do once I own the gloves up would be to try and bring someone through. And you don't bring someone through when they're already a champion. You bring someone through from the opening day on, don't you? And that's what
planning and scheming,
I would like to do. That's what my buzz out of boxing would be, to try and bring a youngster on and bring him through and take him right to the very top, and that's the aim for me.
Now, Rick, I'll just ask you one question. I'll throw back a little bit to when you were fighting. Do you have any contact with any of the Mayweathers by any chance? Because I know that, after you boxed Floyd, he was talking about coming over, and I think he even made some phone calls to you talking about sort of coming here, because he wanted to pick up on your fan base. Do you have any contact with the Mayweathers in any way, shape or form?
I don't know, unfortunately. I mean, Floyd. I met Floyd when I went over to the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Shane Mosley fight.
Sure.
And I spoke to Floyd, and disappointingly enough, he didn't give me the time of day, which was a little bit disappointing. But
it's a bit of a letdown.
I've since seen Floyd Mayweather Senior. He was at the press conference for my brother Matthew's fight against Saul Alvarez, and I spoke to him. I haven't really had too much contact with them as such, but there was talk of Floyd coming over at one point to fight at maybe Wembley at London, and he come over. I think he did a press conference, and I think they were trying to get me behind him for the fan base.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think the family have just had one or two well documented problems that's really gone on the back burner now. But
good.
I'd like to think I have no doubt that if they did want to come over and box in the UK, and let's say, right, if you are a boxing fan, no matter what you think of Floyd Mayweather, it would be wonderful for British boxing to see him over in the UK. But I think when that time comes and they get over the current problems, I think they know where to find me, and it would be a pleasure to try and plug him over here, because I think regardless of what you think of him as a person, Steve, I think he's going to be talking as he'd go down as maybe an all-time great. The more
Well, listen, Rick, it's been a pleasure talking to you as well.
As always, Steve, no problem at all.
And give my regards to everybody up there, or your family and everybody else that's around. Thanks, boss man. Ricky, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
The great Ricky Hatton there. Now, his fighters like him, and that, for a young promoter, is essential. You can fall out with your fighters as you get richer and you get older, and they get richer and they get older. I always think about the infamous Mickey Duff line when talking about his fiery relationship with Bermondsey's Lloyd Hunnigan, who himself was a little bit of a, bit of a head case Lloyd. Duff would often say, listen, I manage him. I don't have to like him. How right Mickey Duff or Maurice Prager was. Of course, Maurice Prager stroke Mickey Duff didn't speak to his father for about 50 years, even when his father was on his deathbed. So, I'm not saying he's a genius on all things.